I'm thrilled that as part of Intervin, I'm here with Jennifer Campbell, who's over social media her little herd out, and Melanie Clee, who helped me organize Intervin, and two of my fabulous judging colleagues, Erin Henderson and Roy Sullivan, are here to join and welcome our Winery of the Year Chief Winemaker Chris Hatcher from Blass, who after 3 days, when I was going to say when the smoke settled, but there was not a lot of smoking. It's more when the spit buckets were empty, but that's really a horrible thought, isn't it? But when all was said and done, how's that?
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, thank you, Dean. Blass triumphed overall, and what was, I think, particularly interesting from my side of things as being chief winemaker, chief judge. Chris is chief winemaker. He's only had the position since '96. He's new, and I feel somewhat privileged in the sense that I know how gracious and generous he is. As when I flew to Australia earlier last month, I arrived without any clothing whatsoever other than what was on my back. And Chris Hatcher is the type of winemaker who will give you literally the shirt off his back to take you out to dinner because he feels bad about you turning up looking like Raggedy Andy after 33 days of travel. So the generosity of spirits there, but also what I think is more interesting about Blass doing as well as they did at Intervin was that it came across an incredible portfolio from very affordable, accessible wines right through to the iconic wines, which you'll be tasting as soon as we stop talking. And as I can see you looking going, there's platinum, I understand. There's a platinum sure has to be served. So definitely welcome to Chris. Congratulations to Chris.
Well, thank you, and thank you to the judges. But it's a fantastic award to win. Obviously, Blass is well known in Canada, and it's been probably our most important market other than Australia, and I would rate it on an even keel with Australia. It's been a phenomenal market for us, but to win a wine competition here, an important wine competition here in an important country for us was absolutely fantastic. I must say, when I looked at the competition and the entry, and I have a top 10 or top 15 wineries, and I was hopeful of getting in that group, and to be number one was just fantastic. And to the judges, I think one of the key things, and I do quite a bit of wine judging in Australia, one of the key things is all the wines that won gold medals here have been multiple gold medal winners in other countries. So it's not just this competition that awarded those wines, it's all over, which says the judges here exceptionally good in the consistency across the world, and I think that's a really good takeout of a competition. There are some competitions around the world that aren't respected, and that's primarily around the quality of the judges. And a wine competition is only as good as the entries and the judges. And to have our wines winning, having won those wines all around the world, I think it's fantastic. No, it's quite interesting, and I guess when Wolf started the business off back in 1966, his great success was making wines that were approachable as younger wines. So when the wines were on the table at a restaurant, they were ready to drink. And he was known as the master blender. But since I've been chief winemaker, I wanted to I guess, respect where we'd come from, but also evolve the wines that we're making to be very modern and of a style that had the elements of the original wines, but still could compete with the best wines around the world. And so it'll be a surprise for a lot of people that our Platinum Shiraz is a single vineyard wine, and our 2006, just in London at the biggest wine competition in the world, won the best single vineyard wine in the world. Now, for Wolf Blass, if you look back 20 years ago, no one would ever have thought that Wolf Blass would do that. And I think that's the evolution that you've seen. Certainly the times, every time I've met Chris, we'll always talk about how we're evolving Wolf Blass into something that's not just yellow label, and yellow label is very important to us as a business, but to evolve even yellow label to something that is in style contemporary and our plan down the track with Yellow Label is even to go regional with that, so that there's much more focus on the vineyards, and that's been the biggest change since I've been in the wine industry in Australia. Is when I first started, it was all about the winemaker and about the winemaker being able to craft wines in the winery, and today we understand that we do that well. It's really about getting the vineyards right and sourcing the differences in the vineyards and then expressing those in the wine. So we'll have a single vineyard wine. Early next year we're going to bring out some sub-regional wines, what we call Barossa Estates, so 4 different regions within the valley, within the Barossa of Shiraz that are all different. So it shows the regionality and the sub-regions of the wines. Our white label, we have Chardonnay and Riesling in white label, the 2012s. The Chardonnay is a sub-region of Adelaide Hills, an area called Piccadilly. Now people won't remember these, but it's more about, these are very, very small regional wines, small volume and very much about vineyard, not about the winemaker. And so that's been our journey, and that's the journey that we're continuing on. We are still very respectful of what Wolf did, and many of our wines still have the elements of the drinkability and all of those things that we still, even with our platinum, we look to do that as so that the wines are ready when they're sold, but they will age exceptionally well. And certainly, you know, you look back, the first of our platinums was 1998. And that wine is just exceptionally good at the moment, so these wines will age very well.
Part of the story is all the stuff that surrounds it. When it comes to judging in these very kind of very strict guidelines, it's not about turning off the blinders and just looking at the glass. Our judges have no idea anything about the wine other than its varietal content, the grape varieties that went into making it, perhaps a vintage if that's telling. But they don't know anything about region, where it came from. So in the flight of Cabernet that Coonawarra Cabernet rose to the top of, it could have been alongside wines from 5, 6, 10 different countries. I send out as many as 14 glasses out to our judges who feel horribly done by at certain points of the day. Very happy in other parts of the day, and I think Cabernet was one of the classes that I think was one of the high watermarks across the whole way. I'm not sure if it went through Aaron or Laurie's panel, but certainly one of the groups that had given 1 gold medal score out the day before got a flight of Cabernets, and 3 kind of rose right to the top. And then once again on the finals day, when we took a look at the top 5% of the scoring wines, Cabernet once again, we certainly just kind of hit on a great moment, and part of it was the strength of a vintage like 2010 in a great place for growing Cabernet like Coonawarra. One of the most idyllic spots, perhaps arguably one of the most consistent spots for growing Cabernet on the planet. So it's great to see wines like that shine through. But then it's also equally wonderful to see something like the humble little red label Shiraz Grenache that comes through with a huge score.
That's probably the most interesting wine in our portfolio. For the last 3 vintages in Australian wine shows, Red Label Shiraz Grenache has won gold medals in Adelaide, Melbourne and Canberra. And this year, we haven't had the Canberra show, but it won gold medals in Adelaide and Melbourne last week. So very consistent, and good to see you picked it out too.
And a wine that retails for less than $15 is. But then when I was asking what the secret was, it came down to the fact of the quality of the Grenache that goes into it.
Yeah, it's basically, it gets a higher selection because we don't have any other Grenache products, so our best Grenache goes into that product.